So today's video is going to be autism childhood versus adulthood with Jamie.
Well, the doctor told me when I was 4 that I had the dreaded A symptoms, and throughout my childhood it was basically just a lot of awkward social moments that I had no idea how to live through, work through, improve on, and I felt really ridiculous anytime I tried to interact with anybody because I felt I was going to make a fool of myself.
Oh. So the first topic is senses. I know heightened senses is a typical autistic trait. When I was a kid, I couldn't stand the feeling of denim. And does anyone remember Jeans Day at school?
Vaguely.
Well, we had this day where everyone had to wear jeans instead of the school uniform. Well, I didn't have any jeans because I couldn't stand the material of denim, and everyone was really shocked. But they shouldn't have been so shocked because I was in an autistic school, so probably should have expected that. And sometimes my nana does this horrible thing where she rubs her legs when she's wearing jeans, and it's just like well, yours isn't bad because they're kind of softer. Okay, don't do that.
I've had lots of awkward senses and things I was exposed to that I didn't like or couldn't handle, but there's so many to trying to remember actually that I'd be here all day. I don't know if this can even be called an autistic trait, but the texture of jelly, I can't stand it.
Yeah, I think that could be an autistic thing.
I can't stand how it wobbles and jiggles, it almost made me sick. On your similar case of not wanting to mess around with your socks and shoes, I remember I used to have the little seams in the corners of the socks cut off because they would scratch my toes and I would get irritated by it, and then the socks would be ruined obviously, but that was a stupid thing I always did when I was younger.
Why is that stupid?
I thought it was stupid.
Yeah, I had this thing where I'd have to have my sock like this pulled up over my shoe because I couldn't stand just having my socks normal because the seam would just feel horrible on my foot. What about like lights and noises? I know you've got some noise sensitivity.
Oh yeah, lots of noises used to irritate me, and some do nowadays as well. Lights didn't though. Lights are always fine, but sudden loud noises like dogs barking and balloons bursting like 2 inches from my ear. If they're across the road or something, then that's fine. But when I was younger, I used to hate lots of noises.
I think even now, when there's a loud noise, you always go like that.
Well, when I'm expecting a loud noise, like a jump scare. Or if a dog's nearby and it looks like it's going to start yelling.
So mine now are like, I hate high-pitched noises. That sometimes makes me angry. Tell me if any autistic person has had this thing. I feel very sensitive to whatever colour the room is. Like in his bedroom it's dark grey and it just makes me feel all depressed. Because it's a small room and it's got dark grey walls, and that's not good for me.
It feels like an asylum chamber where you strap yourself in with a straight jacket and the padded walls, and
well, it
looks all
that
bleak and
extreme.
dreary. And you've got that brown murky drip making a puddle in the corner of the room.
You're just making that up. So if a room has like beige walls and like a nice light colour, then I usually enjoy being in that room a lot more and find it a lot more relaxing. And another thing about the materials, this, I don't know if you can tell by looking at it what kind of material this jacket is, but it's like sort of like a denim. So yeah, I can wear this jacket, but I don't really like the texture of it. I don't like it, but it's not so bad that I can't wear it, so I just kind of deal with it whenever I'm wearing it. And it's the same with this bag. If I've seen the Lush bags before, so you might know what kind of material they are. And I don't like this. It's a similar thing, but I just deal with it, I suppose. How did you feel when you got wrong or got into trouble when you were a kid? Because I think our answers will be very different on this.
As dramatic as this would sound, I felt like everybody hated me and that I didn't deserve to be around anybody, and I just thought, hide under a table until people forget about you.
Oh.
And then you come out and then people will be like, oh hello, we forgot you were there, and what mistake did you make earlier? We don't know.
Well, I felt very entitled when I was a kid. So whenever I got wrong or got into trouble, I was like, how dare you? I always thought my parents were really mean and really cruel and really horrible, and I used to say, stop being horrible to me. I just thought they were being mean and there was no reason for them to tell me off. And I just felt very entitled, I think is a good word for what I was like. I was just like, how dare they shout at me?
I felt like any privileges I had as a kid would be taken away and never given back. So, some kids have TV privileges, you watch for a certain amount of hours, maybe more if you're a good kid. But I thought the moment I stepped out of line or made a mistake that was in line for telling off, I would just have them revoked and never give them back. I feel like nowadays, if I get it wrong, that I have to do everything in my power just to make everything right. I have to buy people things just to cheer them up, give up my free time to make sure they're happy, and I'll always feel stressed or more anxious until I know if they're happy or not, which is normally the case with us.
Well, I definitely don't feel entitled these days, but if anybody's angry at me, I normally feel like I've done something to put them out and I just want to sort of get away so I don't make them angry anymore. So I guess I'm more similar to him these days. A classic autistic trait, changes. How did you deal with change when you were a kid?
I couldn't deal with change as a kid.
What did you do?
Freeze up like a deer in headlights and panic until I got used to it.
Did you like kick off or anything?
No, I was too scared to kick off in case people got angry at us.
Oh. I remember when I was a kid, and I don't remember how old I was, but pretty young, and we got a new sofa and I got really upset about it, and the sofa was dumped outside until it got picked up to be removed, and I just lay on the sofa outside, and I was really upset that I was going to go because that was the only sofa I'd ever known. So I was pretty upset that I got a new sofa. My mum would always rearrange the furniture quite a lot, and I would just not go in the room when it was rearranged, and I'd have to prepare for school. So like the night before school I'd have to like mentally prepare for it. But then my mum wasn't very good because we'd normally go back to school on a Tuesday. If we'd had a week off, we'd go back on a Tuesday instead of a Monday, and my mum would always get me ready on a Monday, and then the taxi wouldn't show up. So then I'd be all messed up for the rest of the day because I thought I was going to school, then turns out I'm not.
If this can be related to change, having my hair cut when I was a child used to freak me out because you have all these hairdressers like touching your hair and using these instruments on you. I used to get frightened that they were going to like just cut into my head and take my ears off and things, so I used to kick and scream and try to get away from them. I regret it now because that sounds incredibly childish.
Well, you were a child.
Yeah. But no, changes nowadays, I'm still sick of them and I just sigh whenever something changes last second, and I try to adapt as best as I can, as fast as I can.
Yeah, there was one thing that I'm worse now than when I was a kid. It's like a major change, like for example when I moved colleges, and each new year, like when it's come around to September and my schedule would change, I get really anxious about that, and I just don't feel good until a couple of months later when I'm finally used to it. But when I was a kid it didn't bother me because I moved schools and it was just like no big deal. And then when I left primary school, they had this leaving like assembly and it was all emotional and everyone was crying, and I was just like, why are you crying? I was just like, it was no big deal to me. But now it's like, it is a big deal when I start a new thing. I don't have that much of a strict routine for my everyday life, so normally I deal with it pretty well if something changes. If I've got a plan in my head of what I'm going to do, then if something changes it's a bit more like whoa, but I can get over it pretty fast. And speech and accents. I went through a lot of accents. Did you just have the regular Geordie accent when you were a kid?
I think so. I don't really remember speaking with an accent very much.
Well, when I was a kid, I spoke with the regular Geordie accent, and I can't remember which one was first, either American or posh. Sometime I just decided to start talking in an American accent, which is kind of common for autistic kids since they watch a lot of American shows and movies, so they copy the accent. So I think that's what I did. So I'd always go, "Hey mom."
Hey mom.
And then I just talk really posh, and then I just had the accent I have now. Normally when people meet me for the first time, they can't tell where I'm from.
I think that's my biggest problem. How no one can understand me, as well as how fast I speak, how quiet I speak.
Yeah, well, I have trouble understanding him.
Everyone does.
Also, I pause a lot, and I usually edit out the pauses. But maybe I'll do a video sometime when I leave out the pauses in, but I feel like it's going to be a really boring video if I leave the pauses, and people will just be like, "Come on." So yeah, I'm kind of insecure about that. Sometimes it just takes a long time for me to think of the next word. Well, he kind of has the typical autistic monotone voice.
Which I can't hear.
You think your voice is very up and down?
Well, I think I put a lot of inflections in. I know it sounds monotone on recording, so I'll hear my voice when this video is made, but when I'm speaking it feels like I'm going up and down.
And are you just doing it more on purpose?
Yeah.
Okay, and the last one is jokes. Did you understand jokes when you were a kid? How did you feel about them?
I could understand some when I was younger, but I would always take them all seriously anyway. So my mum would always used to shout, oh not shout, that's a bit extreme. She'd always used to tell me, "Jamie, it's okay, I'm joking." Even before I'd react to what she said. Nowadays, it's a little better. I still think of some jokes as serious. It depends on how they're delivered. So if you tell me a joke where you say it in a monotone, serious voice, I'll think you're being serious.
He's really funny.
That is when I'm being light, not dark.
Well, some of your dark jokes I still find funny because they're so wild and extreme. And when I was a kid, I did not understand jokes at all. Whenever people were just trying to laugh with me and having banter, I'd think they were actually being mean, and I'd get offended and think they were being horrible. But I can take jokes now, and I usually find it funny. And sometimes people say I have a surreal sense of humour, but I don't really know what that means. Or something like an odd sense of humour, but I don't know what's odd about it myself. So I always get jokes now. I think I always know if people are joking. That's the end of the video, so